As educators, we know that technology is always changing and evolving. The same can be said for education. The improvements in technology has led to significant changes in education and the way we instruct our students. This video is going to cover how SAMR can be used as a framework for Education 3.0. When we think about the substitution and augmentation levels of SAMR, we think about Education 1.0. It's at these levels that learners are receiving, responding, and regurgitating information that they're presented in class. Students take in information through lecture. They may take notes, study text, and do worksheets. Then the information understanding is evaluated by taking tests. Technology integration at these levels leads to little or no functional teaching and learning changes. When we think about the modification level, we think about Education 2.0. At the modification level, the learning environment has a very big focus on interactivity, both student to student and student to teacher. It is key to this level of instruction. At the modification level, tech leads to a significant functional change in the classroom. When we think about the redefinition level of SAMR, we think about Education 3.0. At the redefinition level, content is freely and readily available to students, promoting anytime and anywhere learning. Learning at this level is self-directed, with a focus on problem solving and creativity. Tech supports all facets of learning at the redefinition level. Tasks are performed by students that would not be possible without the technology component. Let's take a look at how different class activities have evolved through the use of SAMR. At the substitution and augmentation levels, or Education 1.0, online presentations and video were presented as one-way communication. Students presented things that they had learned, while others listened and took in the information. There was no interaction between the presenter and those receiving the presentation. When you move to the modification level, Education 2.0, online presentations and videos were presented to students. Students were asked to back-channel and collaborate through taking notes and asking questions. Students and others reflected on what was being said. These were usually the peers in the same class. Moving to the redefinition level, or Education 3.0, learners used online presentations and video as personal mashups in a way to learn on their own and create their own presentations. These presentations at the Education 3.0 level, or the redefinition level, are comprised of a global audience, broadening who is hearing the message that the student is presenting. Now let's look at the evolution of games in education. At the substitution augmentation level, Education 1.0, online games are in essence electronic worksheets. They have only one correct way to play and win. I think about using response systems like smart response systems, games like Kahoot, things like that we use in our classroom. These are very substitution level things. Also, the games that are created through smart software, they're very substitution in that we create games based on an expected answer, and whether the students answer the questions one way or another determines if their answers are correct. At the modification level, Education 2.0, commercial games are used for educational purposes. So for example, the Sims line, where students can do simulations and those kinds of things. Moving on to the redefinition level, Education 3.0, commercial games are used by learners in unique ways. Learners invent their own games. Some examples of this that we use in our own district are Scratch and Minecraft. These games can be used for students to develop their own learning situations. Now let's think about writing. At the substitution augmentation levels, Education 1.0, writing assignments are written using Word applications or other word processing applications and presented to a very limited audience, typically just the teacher, perhaps maybe some peers. At the modification level, Education 2.0, writing is done via some other electronic mediums. The audience is broadened to peers or another controlled group, whoever we permit access to. At the redefinition level, Education 3.0 level, however, the audience is expanded to a global audience. Writing is published in a way that it can be accessed by more than a controlled group. When considering reading, content is uploaded through PDFs at the substitution level. These PDFs can be shared via computers or iPads through various programs. Students are strictly substituting a paper copy book for accessing the content electronically. At the modification level, content and materials are more interactive. This would include the books that are created through iBooks Author and other similar programs. However, when you move to the redefinition level, learners are responsible for creating their own collections of reading material as well as online resources. They can take personal notes on the topic and honestly be able to customize their experiences in their reading based on what they've created themselves with some guidance of the teacher. Some materials that we use to do this would be ThingLink, so students could curate the reading material and the notes all in one linked place. Also the Early program that is great to be used on laptops. Finally, let's consider networking. At the substitution and augmentation levels, or Education 1.0, students are permitted only to interact with one another or others in their school building. The audience is very, very limited to who the students can interact with and learn from. At the modification level, or Education 2.0, learners are provided with teacher-initiated opportunities to interact with other students in other locations. Skype and FaceTime and other blogs are great examples of how teachers can move that networking aspect to the modification level of instruction. Finally, at the redefinition level, students are expected to take some ownership of who they are networking with and encouraged to build their own PLN, or personal learning network. It's going to be very important that we begin to teach our students, especially our secondary students, how to build this PLN, or collaborative learning network. This is a network that they will refer to and count on as they become lifelong learners. So let's reflect. Take a minute to consider your learning environment and what it looks like. What are you expecting from your students? Is technology transforming your instruction or simply acting as a substitute? While all lessons will not reach the redefinition level, it is important that we provide our students with above-the-line learning opportunities so that they will be prepared to work and continue to learn in the years to come.